Hi, Dr. Scott Boland here. I'd like to invite you to listen to the following clip and see if you can relate.
It's your senior year, Connor. You are not missing the first day.
I already said I'd go tomorrow.
He doesn't listen. Look at him. He's probably high.
He's definitely high.
I don't want you going to school high, Connor.
Perfect, so then I won't go. Thanks, Mom.
Another masterful attempt ends with disaster.
Interstate's already jammed.
Or another cup of coffee and watch it all crash and burn.
Connor finished the milk.
It's a puzzle, it's a maze. I try to steer through it a million ways, but each day's another wrong turn.
I better head out.
If Connor's not ready, I'm leaving without him.
Does anybody maybe happen to know how the hell to do this? I don't know if you can tell, but this is me just pretending to know. So where's the map? I need a clue, cause the scary truth is I'm flying blind, and I'm making this up as I go, as I go.
I wanted to start with a little clip from the musical Dear Evan Hansen, where various mothers are reflecting on the fact that they feel they have no idea what they're doing as parents, that they're totally flying blind, and they wish that they had a map to guide them. As it turns out, this is an incredibly common feeling in today's society, that the challenges we face as parents, as leaders, as business owners are too complex to think our way out of, that we don't have a map to guide us, that we're just making things up as we go along. And the truth is, the failure rate is quite high. 2/3 of marriages end in divorce, 9 out of 10 startup companies fail, and 87% of us end up in jobs where we're dissatisfied and simply wait for the day to be over. So what's the solution? Where's the map? Well, there are two responses I'd like to share. The first secret is, there is no map. And the second, but more positive response is that there are ways of navigating your way forward without one. So why am I so certain that there is no map, that most of us are in fact flying blind? And I'd like to answer that question by sharing a model of problem solving called Cynefin by Dave Snowden. The model describes 4 kinds of problems we all need to face in our everyday lives, with each requiring a different strategy. Knowing what problem you're facing will give you insight into how to best approach it. The first 2 classes of problems are for situations where the world is predictable enough for you to think your way forward. Situations for where a map does exist. The first of these are simple problems. Simple problems are problems that have an obvious solution. The solution just pops into your mind. You don't even need to think about it. For example, if your car is running out of petrol, what do? You take it to a petrol station. Simple. And much of our problem solving every day is linked to these subconscious patterns of behavior that we don't even think about. The second class of problems, in contrast, are complicated problems. And these are problems where you do need to think through a solution. These are the problems where a good solution does exist if you have the expertise to analyze a situation and formulate or engineer a solution. For example, in building a bridge, the solution doesn't just pop into your head in all its detail. You need to analyze and model the situation. But through this rigorous analysis, a solution does form. The world is predictable enough to create a blueprint of what will work. And if you follow that blueprint, your solution should work. For these first 2 classes of problems, simple and complicated, good maps to follow do exist. And this is the kind of problem we're generally trained in schools to solve, that there's a good solution in the back of the book. Now, the next class of problems are complex problems. These are problems you can't think your way through. That is, you can't analyze the situation and come up with a solution that's guaranteed to work. Either the world is too uncertain to predict, or you don't have a good enough mental model of how the world works to make accurate predictions. This is similar to sailing a ship. You might know your destination or the general direction you want to head, but you can't plan in advance the precise actions you need to take. You can't predict currents or winds, and there might be storms or obstacles that might impact your journey. To move in your valued direction requires you knowing where you want to head and matching it with what opportunities the world is providing at each moment in time. And there are a wide range of problems that are like this. For example, in finding a best friend, you can't simply go into a room full of people and interview them and from that data decide who will be your best friend for life. Instead, friendship and relationships form over time through numerous interactions, and you can't predict in advance where these relationships will go. Who will be your best friend in 10 years' time? Similarly, in dealing with bullies, there's no rule book that gives strategies that are guaranteed to work. There are subtleties involved in every situation. And it's only through experimenting that you get an idea of what's going to work in each context. Marriage, again, is similar. Around 2/3 of marriages end in divorce. It's not something that you can simply think your way through. When there are other people involved, it's often very difficult to predict what might work best for all involved. Again, there may be general rules of thumb, but you only find out what works best by trying. And moving on to business. Most business challenges are complex in nature. Even the simplest startup companies or small businesses have business models that specify a range of features such as your value proposition, customer segments, pricing, and channels to market. And again, many of these variables you can't simply choose in advance. You don't know what will work best in a given market without trying. In these situations, you do need to explore and experiment and see what works best in practice. For complex problems, which is what most challenges that keep us up at night are, there is no map. You can't think your way forward. You need to experiment your way forward. Now, the last class of problems are chaotic, where often we don't even have enough time to explore or experiment. For example, COVID-19. The best we can do is try to contain the problem, such as enforcing social distancing and work from home protocols, until we gain more of an understanding of the situation. But for now, the important message I want to share is that if you ever feel that you're lost and finding it difficult to navigate your way forward, that you're not alone. For complex problems, which is what most of our challenges are, there is no map. There is no way to think your way forward, to find a solution that's guaranteed to work. Instead, you need an idea of the direction you wish to head, and you need to experiment to see what the world has to offer. But because they're experiments, sometimes they're not going to work, and that's the reality. In developing a commercially viable light bulb, Thomas Edison took 10,000 attempts. He was quoted as saying, "I've not failed 10,000 times, I've not failed once. I'm succeeding in proving that those 10,000 ways will not work. When I've eliminated the ways that will not work, I'll find the way that will." For complex problems, there is no map. You can't think your way forward, but you may be able to experiment your way forward. What's an area of your life that you'd like to improve upon? And what experiments could you try?